Okay, Jason Mumo, JM on the Fly. Today we're going to do my foam mayflies. Basically the same bodies but a little bit different wings. And I'm going to zoom in on that right now so you can see exactly what we got here. Okay, try and get that a little bit more up centered and a little bit tuned in. There we go. And you can check this guy out. It's a little Adams parachute, foam, extended body, beautiful little fly. See if I got a pure white. Yeah, I do. Here we go. There you go. Now it'll turn up a lot better. You get a good look at that guy. Basically a parachute Adams. And again, we're going to start with a pin. And this is the way we make all the bodies. I won't be making all the different bodies, but I'm going to show you how to make a body. Take our gray thread, and we're going to wrap that right on the tip. Let me give you a little secret here. Take a little Vaseline. Wipe that tip. Just like that. And that helps the body to slide off afterwards. So we're just going to tie right onto the tip. Form a nice little ball. And we're going to get ourselves a little bit of microfibettes in the brown color for the Adams. And we just grab a couple fibers. And we're going to lay them in for our tailing material. And lock them babies down. Don't worry about them being splayed out yet. Not the biggest deal. Going to take a piece of gray foam. Okay, let me get some light on the situation here so that we could, that'll actually help. Okay, there, gray foam. Just going to cut a strip, approximately 1/8 of an inch thick. Just a nice narrow little strip. And we're going to come in and we're just going to catch the end in fact, I messed up here. What I want to do, and I apologize, is I want to trim the end just a little bit. Just like that. So we taper it so it's to a tip. Then what I do is I grab another pin. And you gotta understand, I tied a whole pile of these and then went on to some other stuff. So the steps I'm bringing back into my own mind. Anyway, see how I'm pushing that into the pin so it ends up being shaped? And I'll show you that before I tie it in. I'm just pushing that in so I end up with a little shape, a little V. And that V helps me to start this. Now, next step here, what I'm going to do is take a little bit of gel, super glue, and just touch the end. Just like that. Got a little bit of the super glue gel on there. Very little, just a teeny little bit. And I'm going to lay this baby in and just catch the end like that. Now that super glue gel is right on the ball and ties this whole thing in. Now we're going to take our thread and we're going to segment by making little sections just like this. Okay, so when it's all said and done, you have a bottom which the fish sees. It looks like this. Now we could come in Take a few of these fibers and bend them this way. Take a few and bend them the other way. And you'll see that they'll splay out beautifully. Okay, that's the body, that's what the fish sees. If you look at the top, you may see some threads coming through, but the fish does not see that. Therefore, it does not hurt us. Again, a couple wraps, grab the piece, pull it right off, keeping it on the thread, laying it to the side, and now we go with our hook. Okay, take this out. These hooks here are actually a very cheap hook, and I want to put one in that's the way they come. They're egg hooks, scud egg hooks, and they are an Eagle Claw product. And I could show that to you right here. This happens to be a size 12. I'm tying right now with a size 14. We are going to grab our pliers, and wherever that may be. I got all kinds of things on my desk right now. Either way, we flatten this hook. All we do is flatten it. I'll show you one done. I don't need to show you how to do it. It's pretty simple. If you take notice, this eye now is straight. Okay? And the reason this eye I want to be straight is because it just helps tie everything in. All I did was, instead of having that bent down eye, we straightened it. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our tail, which we created, our extended body, and we're going to put that on right where we did not tie, and push it right through the eye of the hook, just like that. We're going to walk that back to the back of the hook, and again we're going to tie in the tail, the extended tail. Okay, so holding that into position right there on the tail end, we're just going to tie this in, and I'm going to come underneath. Whoop, I'm going to come underneath, and I can hike that up a little bit as well. Get rid of that. And again, it will stay once we have everything achieved. Take a piece of foam, push it down, and let it hook into the hook right there. Now we're going to come up over the top, and we're going to tie in these fibers, the tailing fibers, and the piece of thread that remains. And I could center this a little better. There we go. And we're going to tie that in. We'll lift up the thread and the end of the microfibets, and we'll just cut that off. Okay, so that gives you basically what we're starting at. Take a piece of poly, and this is about a third or half of the chunk of the thickness that it normally comes. Okay, so usually with a small fly like this, I'm using a third. That will be tied in right near the back, or dead center of the hook. Okay, and we will post this. So we're going to come around and we're going to get this posted. So right now I'm just working on building a post that I can attach my fibers to. This is also a very inexpensive fly, so it would be a part of my cheap flies in the cheap fly tying videos. Okay, and that's because foam you can get anywhere, and it's very cheap, and you can tie a lot of flies with it. And if you if you check out my big foam fly videos, it's amazing what you can do with this stuff. You'll see quite a bit of different. So you can see what we did there in creating that. Pretty cool little deal. Now we're going to come with our hackle. Alright, for the, and this would be the most expensive stuff that you have involved. Okay, so the most expensive thing that you have in a fly like this is your hackle. But if you're going to tie some dry flies, you have to have some good hackle. So this is the only part that is expensive. Everything else is relatively cheap. But you will spend some money on good feathers. But if you intend to tie dry flies, you have no choice. It's just something that you have to do. And depending on the variations, you'll have to have several colors of them. Okay, so if you're going to invest any money into any product in fly tying, it should definitely be into the feathers. Everything else you could substitute or find something cheaper. Again, we're going to form and spin our parachute just like this. Now we're going to take this and we're going to come underneath, over the abdomen, and still stay low, come up over our eye of our hook, and we're actually tying in the feathers into the stem of the parachute. We're going to fold all this back. Get these hairs out of your way. Work your thread front. Not quite to the eye of the hook, but close. We're going to pull on our foam and we're going to pop it through like that. We're going to catch the foam in the back. Stand that up. And I'm still not leaving go of these feathers. I'm going to now come to the front, fold this back, and I'm going to tie my head right on or behind the eye. Okay, you'll get a whip finish. One of the tools that I didn't grab, and it makes it really nice because it already holds back all that material. You really don't have to worry too much about tying down any feathers. Finish off your head. Snip your string, get rid of that. Your thread, come in low underneath everything so you're not cutting any other feathers. Pull them back, and we will come in and snip out our foam just like that. Okay, and let me see what the heck we got going on here. It looks like we don't have good colorization. There we go. That looks good. We need something behind that so you can see what we did. And we're going to cut these tailing feathers off, and that's just going to be, don't cut, just simply push straight up and they'll cut out. Okay, that looks like a beautiful, beautiful pattern. We're going to come up and cut that post off so you can see that bright colored post on top. You'll be able to see this fly from a mile away. Looking underneath, it looks like I need a teeny little trim. Sometimes you get a little too many feathers on the one side. But when it's all said and done, that, and I will show you this, that is your Mayfly, and that is your Adams foam fly, part of the JM foam fly series. Beautiful little fly. Couple straggling hairs there, but that's it. That's the fly. Pretty cool deal. And that's one wing that we put on these mayflies. Now we're going to go to another wing. Let me grab this so that we're not repeating all the steps, because the body is the same regardless of what we tie on. So the body that I formed before is the same, and putting it onto the hook is the same. Again, just take the extended body, push that through right into the foam that you had not tied into yet. Take it to the back of the hook, tie off, come underneath, come over the top, let my thread set, put the foam down into the point of the hook, and catch the microfibers and the extra thread. Wrap that up a little bit, lift them, cut that out, just like that. Now you got your extended body on, and we will make some extra wraps right to the end. This is going to be a spent spinner. And again, you could spent spinners. I guess the only other thing is with the spent spinners that we're going to do is we're going to tie these tails in a bit longer. On a spinner, the tails are much longer. Okay? And again, I could show you pretty much. I guess I should have put this in the vise so you could see it, but that's pretty much what we're doing there. We're creating a little spent spinner, okay? And I want to show you how to achieve these wings, which is another whole, there's a different way to tie wings on. So we're tying in spent wings, so we're going to go to a piece of poly, comb it out, pinch the other side, comb it out. Beautiful little piece of poly. Tie that in, and we're going to tie this in so that we figure eight it. Okay? So we're going to figure eight this. Once we get the figure eight in, everything goes easy. Okay? And again, the longer that you keep the poly, the easier it is for you to control what you're looking for. Okay? Now we're going to do the same thing. Again, pull on the foam, bring it dead center with the eye of the hook, and simply punch it through. Like that. Tie off, lift front, tie off, form your head, whip finish, and I believe you can see pretty much what we're doing here. Whip finish that, cut your tag of foam off, and now the way we close this up is a little bit different. You can see what we have there. We basically have the fly, what would be almost complete. You see how fat the bottom is? Spinners are relatively thin. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of the glue, super glue gel, and I'm just going to put a little dot right in around the wings and the center area. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to now come in with my tweezers, and I'm going to come up underneath the bottom, and I am going to simply push that body together. Just like that. I'm just holding that pinched. You can see what I'm doing there. I basically just have the body pinched until the glue cures. And also holding my wings out and down into position as the glue dries, so that that will stay. Okay? Beautiful. Now we're going to take a little tool. Let me see what I got here. I have it somewhere, that's for sure. Like I said, my desk is a mess. Oh, let me see where we got it. Here it is. And this is kind of a invaluable little deal. This is a Velcro on a stick, okay? We got Velcro there on a stick. Gonna comb out this wing, make it look nice and wide, just like that. See that? Now we come in 45-degree angle to the tip of the tail. So we come straight in. We're going to try and hit this angle so that we're coming straight to what would be the tip of the tail. Okay? So you see that angle there coming to the tip of the tail? We're going to turn it this way, and we're going to do the same thing. Come down, come into a 45-degree angle to the tip of the tail. Just like that. Now, this side looks a hair bigger, so we'll just shorten it up a bit. And now we just simply take a little nip off the front and side, just like that. And you got yourself a beautiful little spinner. And that is a rusty spinner. Foam rusty spinner. And you can see how skinny that abdomen got now by pushing that together with the tweezers. We got a nice little thin profile. And that is what the fish like to see in a rusty spinner. So that's another Mayfly. Our last Mayfly I'll put up. And I usually only tie this in either the March Brown or, in this case, the Gray Fox. Okay, so this is basically like a regular hackle, but if you can see, we have a nice bold foam body underneath. And anybody who's seen either the March Brown or the Gray Fox come down the creek, their entire body is laying in the surface of the film, and they just plant their feet on the sides. So that's what I'm trying to achieve here. Another thing that you could see is that the fibers, or the feathers, if I point this straight at you, we have fibers coming down on this side and fibers coming down on this side. Okay, so both sides come down over the foam like that. Okay, and I'll show you how we achieve that. So let's go to the tying portion of this. I have my tan piece here. I'm going to throw my hook in here. And now I would really like to find my pliers so that I could straighten that for you and show you how that's done. But for some reason I'm not seeing them around. Oh yes, I do have them right here. Buried, buried, buried. You can see my desk right now. It's an absolute disaster. Either way, what we're going to do is just turn that like that. Okay? And that's how we straighten them hooks. Okay, and again, those are the Eagle Claw, and they are nymph scud hooks. Okay, and they're really neat hooks. Work really good for this extended body because I like the gap. There's a good gap on these hooks. And when you're tying extended bodies, gap matters. Okay, anyway, we're going to get our extended body, and we're going to put it on the same way, again, poking it right through the hook, just like that, coming to the tail end, catching that, tying our tail in, and again, you make the extended bodies the same way. Just go back to the very first part of the video so you can see exactly how that's accomplished, and you'll do just fine. Again, pulling our thread to the side, putting our foam down onto the hook, coming up over, grabbing the thread and the microfibets, tying that in. So that part never changes. That part never changes. Again, cutting them off. I am now looking for a feather, which I should have had prepared and sitting here, but for some reason I don't. But it's not a big deal because I have plenty of them over here. Let me just grab one. Oh, let me see what we got here. Here we go. Okay, so I'm grabbing a piece of either lemon wood duck or pull that side, or dyed mallard. Okay, and I'm going to lay this in and put this in right here as a wing that tails back a little bit. Okay, and that's about correct. That's about what we want for a wing. I will get rid of this excess. If you want it divided, clip the stem out. I don't see that it makes that much of a difference. Now we're going to lift this up and we're going to go behind the wing. I don't want this stood up completely. I want it leaning back, something like that. Okay, so I do want it leaning back. I don't want it standing up completely. We're going to take two feathers. Okay, these two feathers. Actually, I'm going to have, let me see if I have a darker brown. I mean a darker color. I had it all prepped here. Let's see where them babies are at. I want to put this on with a lighter color. These are, their legs are lighter in color on both of these creatures. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these feathers. We're going to tie it in right behind the wing. Okay, if it was a case where I had a divided wing, I'd put it right in the center of the wing. But again, we're tying this off to one side just like this. Okay, we can catch a stub. And we're going to take the other feather and we're going to tie it in on the opposite side. And of course there is a reason for that, and I'll show you that very shortly. Okay, tie that in just like that behind the wing. Again, working our way front to the very beginning. And what we're going to do is, normally we would wrap clockwise. We're going to wrap this one counterclockwise. And I start with the counterclockwise because it's the most unnatural way to wrap, because when you end, you will be opposing the feather with your thread. Okay, so just like you would do a normal hackle, I like to get 3 wraps behind and 3 wraps in front on each of the feathers. Okay? And again, that was counter, so we have to come back and wrap against and do a pinch wrap, a lock, and cut out our extra feather. Now if you look at this, and if I would fold this up right now, okay, you would see that there's a lot of hair off to this side, but nothing off to the upper side that's hanging out over, and that's because we only wrap that direction. So we take our other feather and we wrap that clockwise. Again, 1, 2, 3 in the back. Pull everything out so it's perfectly fine, and 1, 2, 3 in the front. Now we got fibers going both directions, and when this whole thing is done, you'll have feathers hanging over top of both sides of the foam when we're done. But the foam will be the main projective. Again, pull and push your foam onto the hook, placing a couple nice wraps right in there. Pull it back, and let's get our neat little head on there. And this is kind of a really neat deal because you're wrapping and you're protecting your hair with the foam. That pushed all that ugly hair back in, and we end up with a nice little head on this fly, just like that. Clip off our piece. We'll stand up our tail a little bit. We'll divide out these tails, make it look like something. We'll come in and we will snip out this little piece of foam. I don't care if it has the 2 little eyeballs in the front, that's perfectly fine. And when it's all said and done, we end up with a beautiful little mayfly out of foam with a beautiful body. See, if you can look at the body there, the fish see that entire body, and that's what they see on the actual insects that come down the creek. Their bodies lay the whole way into the water, so it's very accurate for, again, gray fox and March brown. And these are the JM mayflies, foam mayflies, and how they're tied. 3 different patterns, 3 different ways to tie them, and they're extremely effective. Extremely effective. You'll catch a lot of fish on these boys. Again, throw them out. Beautiful. All foam, highly floatable, excellent flies. You could see them a mile away. And that is the JM Foam Mayfly series. Jam on the fly, and I am out of here.